Welcome to the Den of Tools.
Howdy ho, guys and gals, it's Red, your friendly neighborhood Tool Bear. And yep, it's Monday, November 2nd. You know what that means. That means we are T-1 to Election Day. And the rhetoric out there is getting pretty fierce. Both sides are ramping it up. We got all sorts of people they're preparing for the worst, okay? We got people boarding up buildings, people getting ready to defend themselves and others. It is, this is crazy. This is in Washington, D.C. Apparently, plywood and 2x4s is nearly sold out on at least in most of the larger East Coast home improvement stores. It is a regular you-know-what storm out there. In fact, they're even talking about pulling out the National Guard for some of this stuff. So what we've got here for you, we got some of the top 10 tools for buying pre-election day so you can get ready for whatever may come. So let's jump into it. All right, and the first thing we want to talk about is maybe consider getting a generator. Now, yes, Harbor Freight had a huge sale this past weekend, and if you missed out, I'm really sorry about that. But now's not the time to fret over a few bucks here and there. If you think that there's a serious, concern that either you live in a metropolitan area where there could be power outages, or maybe you're in an area like along the coast where we're constantly getting hit by hurricanes and stuff, any of the stuff that comes out from the election into the aftermath, protests, riots, who knows what, could disrupt emergency services trying to repair those power lines and such, and you could be out of power for some time. We just recently picked up the 9,000 watt generator here from Harbor Freight. It's a whole house kind of generator. Maybe you don't need to spend that much. Maybe you don't need that much power. I would strongly consider then maybe something like this. This is the Predator 2,000 watt super quiet inverter generator. This is great when you don't need to power the entire house. You only need to power a few appliances, and on top of that, maybe you want to be a little discreet about it. This thing is a lot less loud than one of the larger generators and stuff like this. You could run it and not let everyone else in the neighborhood know that your home has some power while they do not. It sounds a little quirky to some, but discretion is the better part of valor and all that. Now, next up, food. You're going to want to get some food because if there's craziness going on, guess where you don't want to be? You don't want to be making runs to the grocery store in the middle of all that chaos that could be out there. So I highly, highly recommend stocking up. And a lot of that is having some long-term food storage, such as freezers. We have a chest freezer. Now, we have a 7-point-something cubic inch, but not everyone can fit that in their house. Friends of ours just got this one here. It's the Insignia from Best Buy. It's on sale right now with a price match guarantee for $150. Actually, that might be the standard price. Not sure that's a sale price, but they do have a price match guarantee. $150, 15-day satisfaction. This is a nice, simple little chest freezer. Now, if you've got the room for something bigger, the Insignia here, this one's $229, and that will get you the 7.0 cubic chest freezer. These things are great. Don't get the vertical chest freezers, the one that look like a fridge, because every time you open the door, I kid you not, the cold falls out. Cold air sinks to its lowest point. Great thing about these chest freezers is once they get cold, they just hum along on very minimal power, and when you open it up, the cold just stays sitting in it like a bucket of cold air. They are way more efficient than any other style of freezer, and we use our family, there's 5 of us, and we got growing boys and girls and Labradogs and whatnot, and we use these things all the time. Next up is clean water. If you're in an if you're in a situation where getting clean water becomes an issue, boiling it doesn't always do everything you need to get it as clean as humanly possible. The Berkey, in this case, the Big Berkey gravity-fed water filtration system here is considered the Cadillac of countertop filtration systems. And at $300, the price kind of matches that. Now, if you need to save a few bucks, you can go with this British Berkey-fed. Yeah, they're not trying to play off the name at all there, are they? You're going to save about 30% off of that because this is going to come in at $195.99. They are excellent filtration systems. Now, another thing, when bad times are happening, you need to stay in touch. And one of the great ways to be able to stay in touch is with an emergency radio. You get a hand crank radio like this. It runs off of hand crank. You can run solar. You can run batteries. It can recharge your phone and other electronics. You can get weather alerts. You can get AM, FM. It has an LED flashlight. And because the flashlight is LED, it's not going to use as much battery So you're not going to be cranking nearly as much like we did with the old school ones. You could pick up one of these for $39.99, $40. Now, the one that we have actually is we've got this one. I used to have two of these until I melted one in a puddle of acetone by accident. But if you've got the GMRS radio system, if you use that, and we have several of those radios from when we go out camping and hiking and whatnot. And if you've got that radio system, this is a base station radio. It's got a weather radio, it's got AM, it's got FM, and of course it's got the base camp mode there for the GMRS radio, so you can talk back and forth to the people out roaming about in the hinterlands, as it were. These things are great. They're you can plug them in. They take a battery. They're hand crank. Any option you want there. And now the thing is, I don't think they actually make these anymore. So when you're buying them, you're buying new old stock. They're not the cheapest things out there. They run at just over $100, I think. Now, moving on to the next one, first aid. Being able to get first aid or get to somebody or get to a hospital. They could be packed with people coming in from riots and whatnot. For the smaller stuff, maybe it's best to take care of it yourself. Here is a nice standard. This is like you get for a business. This is going to cover all, the whole 9 yards of all your basic first aid kind of stuff. Now, this is not going to cover like high-end trauma stuff, but it's going to, bad cuts and bruises and stuff like that. You're going to get all the basic stuff in there, and it's going to run you $33 for something like this. Now, if you want something a little bit more advanced, we can step up to this. This is the Lightning X EMS, EMT Trauma and Bleeding First Aid Responders Kit. Okay, and this is going to have a lot more for that, a lot more of the emergency medical kind of support and those kind of things. You're going to have a lot more of the tools that go along with it, splints, breathing bags, the whole 9 yards. Now, this is going to run you $179. Cool thing is you can get the bag in all sorts of assorted colors. Look at all those pretty good. We got desert camo, we got urban gray, medical red, all sorts of fun colors there, all for the same price there. Now, couple things I think you might want to add to this is I'm a big proponent of the Israeli battle dressing here. Now, this is for trauma. This is for emergency. Someone's been punctured in some sort of way. This is a compression trauma package that is great for that. If you need a tourniquet, they've been changing. There's a lot of debate as to what are good tourniquets, but everyone pretty much admits that the Gen 7 CAT tourniquets are a good application. Get educated on how to use a tourniquet. But if you've got somebody who's bleeding out and they're worried about, are we going to get nerve damage if I apply this? If they live to worry about that, that's way better than the option. So just go ahead and go that route, but get educated on how to use one. And we talked about water treatment. Well, what about water storage? If you've got a pump system or something like that and the power goes out and you don't have a generator or something, how are you going to get that water? There's ways that water can get disrupted. So you can get 5-gallon jug water carriers here. This is over at Home Depot for $20. This is a nice Coleman one. It's got a spigot on the top, which is great. You fill it up, set it outside, and you got a nice little tap using the pressure inside for the water. Now, let's say you want to go with something a little bit bigger. We've got the 55-gallon blue industrial plastic drums for $100. Now, this is rated BPA free and HDPE with HDPE resin. You can find these online, like on Craigslist and stuff like that, for dirt cheap, but you never know what exactly was stored in it. You got to be worried about that before you start using these kind of tubs for water or food storage. Okay, just be aware. And for a few bucks more, you can get one that comes with the rain barrel diverter kit. That is something that plugs into or installs into a rain spout and will pull water as it's going through the rain spout and divert it into your container to fill it up. Of course, then you would want to run it through a filter. This is not something you probably want to drink directly. Taking a shower with it, stuff like that, totally fine. All right, tarps. If you got a bunch of the stuff outside, set up and you got all your prepping things going on, you don't want people seeing it. All right, you want to be able to cover it, keep it safe, that kind of stuff. It's hard to beat Harbor Freight when it comes to tarps. Go out there. They have the new heavy duty tarps, black on one side, silver on the other. But you can go for those super cheap ones too. I found for just covering stuff up outside, not really an issue. With going with the cheap tarps. They block, if you're just trying to keep some rain off it and some prying eyes, that was a 97 cents with coupon for that tarp. Now, if you're going to be traveling with something, recommend stepping up to the silver tarps. They're heavier gauge. They can take the wind and stuff like that. Or if you're in a high wind area, maybe getting one of these. This is what we use around here up in Montana. We're in Livingston. It's one of the windiest parts of the U.S. actually. And we travel. We use our trailer and stuff. And I always use these silver tarps for that. Next up on the list of things you want to grab, food. Okay, you got water down. Water's great. But you need some long-term food solutions. And there is a ton of arguments out there as to what's the best food solution for long-term food. Well, we got I don't pronounce Augustin Farms Lunch. This is the number one choice on Amazon. There's so many people and there's so much sponsorship going out there with the food stuff. I'm not really sure. I haven't really done a deep dive into it. Maybe we should do that. But a lot of people talk about the Wise stuff. That's listed here as well. You can also get, look at this, Epic Venison Sea Salt and Pepper Bars. Oh, that sounds delicious. And I like venison. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think you can go wrong with this really. But, if you're looking for some food storage, count how many people you have and how long you want to have storage for. These are great systems to do. They're fast and they're simple. Stay away from MREs. They're terrible for the most part, and this is a lot easier to get, comes in a lot easier to use package for use at home. If you're off camping or something like that, I can see choosing the MRE system. But for home, I would go with this. Now, maybe you don't want to get that serious into food storage, but you want to have something. In fact, maybe as an addendum to this, you might want to do this. A great choice are these protein shakes like from Ensure. Having a case of these around, they last a long time. They can take a lot of different temperature changes. And you get 30 grams of protein in one. You get 150 calories. And they're great to add to other stuff, to add to the calorie count, or to add, like we can add them to coffee. You add them to ice cream. You can add them to all sorts of stuff. Add some ice to it, pulverize it in the blender. You got a nice little milkshake kind of thing. They can be really filling. When we were doing keto, we use these a lot as filler meals. Now, the Ensure Max Protein here is the Amazon choice. It comes out to 20 cents a fluid ounce. If you want to save a few cents, go with this. This is what I use, the Premier Protein Shake, when I'm on my keto benders. And and we're trying to get back on it here. And at $28.99 for a case here, or a flat of them, it's 17 cents. So you're saving 3 cents a fluid ounce. Not a ton, but if you're buying a lot of them going long term, that does save you some bucks there. And I'll be honest, I think they taste better. They just do. They just taste better. All right. Next up, we got to get, if you're going to be at home, you got all your setups, you got everything, you're all prepared for the election, everything else. But when you got all your preps, suddenly everyone wants to come and share them because they were the grasshopper and they didn't, save up like the ants did. Well, maybe get some blackout curtains for the house. Blackout curtains like this, they're not the prettiest thing, but they don't look terrible. This kind of stuff, they don't look like the old school kind. And they've got a triple fabric weave system here so that they don't look like blackout curtains. So it doesn't give people away like, hey, they're trying to hide. But it doesn't let light leak in the way other curtains might. And they come in a bunch of different colors here. Look at all these different colors you can get. Everything you want, all sorts of different sizes, starting from, $18. That's practically nothing for that kind of security. And it keeps prying eyes out. And like when you have power and other people don't, it keeps the neighbors from knocking on the door constantly trying to figure out what's going on over there. All right. And the number one solution that I'm going to say you should have, I can't really say on this channel. We talked about it on the other channel, but in that case, we're going to substitute here is get a four-legged friend. And no, I'm not talking about the cats. The cats they're cute, they're adorable, but when when some old guy dies in his apartment, they come in, the cats are eating the guy. Get a dog. For home security, even if it's one of these little ones, something that barks. All right, maybe something bigger. Something that yips is not going to be good. But get something that barks, maybe something that, even if they are not scary, looks a little scary. And that's going to be your best line of deterrent. When you're sleeping and that animal hears something, they start going off. That's going to give anybody with bad intentions a second thought and give you time to react. All right, and also, let's not forget to get out there and vote. By the way, I just want to say, I'm going to put a link down here so you can figure out where to go, where to vote. But I do want to say this. If you've got a mail-in ballot and you're thinking about dropping it in the mail today, don't. Or tomorrow, no, don't. You need to go to your local polling place tomorrow and drop it off in person. You do. Otherwise, it's most likely not going to get counted. All right. I don't care who you're voting for. And also, let's try to keep the comments section clean. This isn't about one side or the other, about politics. This is about people taking care of your families and staying safe through all the turmoil. Okay. That's what tool bears do. We get prepared, we stay safe, and we take care of our own. Right. All right. Anyway, I hope you have I would say, happy, fun week. But how about this? How about we all keep our heads on and stay safe? All right. I'll say a prayer for each and all of you, and you do what you guys do best. Anyway, till then, you all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.